Welcome to Speaker Slam.
Dan, it is so exciting. Every time I watch those videos, my cheeks are hurting from smiling. I'm so excited to just be back having events and live events. It's exciting.
I can't believe we've been doing this for almost 6 years now. This has been an incredible journey. And here we are in our 6th year doing the healing competition online with global speakers. Did you ever think that was possible?
I did think it was possible. And the crazy thing is that the pandemic really opened that up and made it a reality for us. And so when we were trying to come up with the theme, we always love to think about themes that are really relevant to what people are going through. And I think the last couple of years have been very challenging, emotionally draining, and painful in many ways. And we blocked a lot of it out. And now that we're coming back to real life, there's a lot of healing that needs to come from that. And there's a lot of reconciliation for what the current state is. So I just love that we are bringing our speakers into this to kind of share about their healing. And what about you? Have you had some healing this past little while?
Oh, for sure. I think the last 2 years have been a time to reflect and really look at my life and find areas that I was maybe running away from and really confront those areas. And, I love to live the themes of each Speaker Slam. And I know you and I live this theme for healing. And it was a powerful awakening. And I know going into our next theme, I'm excited because the comeback is coming and I'm more excited than ever before. So tonight, we're going to see some amazing speakers share and declare their healing journeys. But before we get into it, I want to talk about what took place before this. We opened up this competition 3 months ago and 73 speakers jumped in at this opportunity. And on Inspiration Day, they shared their stories and inspired their communities. Last week, we revealed the top 10. 10 people moved forward and they had 7 days to prepare. This preparation, they had to take on all of the feedback, having known all of their competitors' speeches, and they're going to bring it tonight in front of our judges. And we will see who will move on to the Grand Slam to compete for the title of Inspirational Speaker of the Year. Let's go.
So one of the things I love about that is that when we see those speeches a week ago, from where they were to where they are now, they've moved miles. So I'm really excited and the judges are going to be excited. And so I'm going to jump into introducing our judges. And I want to start with Dr. Angela Lauria. She is a best-selling author, entrepreneur, and the founder of the Author Incubator. She has been a judge for us in the past. She's going to be doing a workshop for our Booked and Paid Academy. She is like the real deal Speaker Slam family and somebody that I absolutely adore. So I would love to introduce you to Dr. Angela Lauria.
Well, hello, everyone. I feel super honored to be the first judge introduced tonight. As Rena said, I am Angela Lauria. I am the founder of the Author Incubator. And as of this year, I have helped about 1,800 people write best-selling books, just like the ones you see right behind me. I work mostly with business owners, consultants, coaches, service level entrepreneurs, and help them get a book done that generates leads and clients. And the most important thing in writing a book is being an amazing storyteller. So I am super excited to hear your stories tonight. Thanks for having me, Speaker Slam. I love it here.
Thanks so much, Angela. Next, I'd love to introduce Eric Edmeades. Now, I met Eric at the Changemakers competition about 3-4 years ago, and I was like, I adore this guy. Like, we're going to do something together. And then COVID came, so it's taken this long, but now we finally got him here, which I'm really excited about. He is a serial entrepreneur. He's been involved with Mind Valley. He's logged over 10,000 hours on stage, spoken in over 20 countries around the world. Very happy and honored to introduce Eric Edmeades.
Hey, I am absolutely thrilled to be here. My name is Eric Edmeades, as we've discussed, and I used to be just absolutely tragically phobic of public speaking, and so one of the greatest things I love to do now is to really help people overcome that and how to use storytelling and speaking to really move their missions forward. I'm a big believer that the way the world is today, when you combine the thousands of years of sitting around the fire telling stories with the confluence of technology and audiences and influence today, that every single one of us is one well-constructed, one well-delivered talk away from the next big breakthrough in our lives. So I'm really glad to be here to support so many people going in their journey to spread their influence and have fun and make the world better through storytelling.
Thank you so much. Eric is originally Canadian, and that's how I met him, but he's like living in the Dominican Republic right now. So I am so jealous of that. I see the palm trees, and he's representing full force for the Caribbean. So thank you so much for being here from all that distance. And finally, we have Stephanie Burns. She is the founder of the Wild Agency, an amplification and visibility agency focused on building the legacy and personal brands of company founders. And when I went on her site, I called Dan. I was like, we need this woman. We need her. Like, she's awesome. He said, well, we got her, Rena. She's coming to be our judge. So I'm really, really happy and excited she's here. I'd love to introduce Stephanie Burns.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Burns. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to see everyone's speeches tonight. As Rena said, I'm the founder of the Wild Agency, and we amplify the personal brands of company founders. And I'm just really, really excited to listen to everybody's stories. Public speaking and speaking in general is one of my favorite ways to get your brand visible. So I am very excited to hear everybody's stories. I believe that this is a very relevant and timely topic. So I can't wait to dig in and hear everyone's speeches tonight. I can't believe we're at top 10. Congratulations to everyone. I am really excited to be here.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we are going to jump in. I'm going to explain how it's going to work. Our speakers are each going to be giving 5.5-minute speeches. Afterwards, there's going to be 1 minute for the judges to enter their scores. And then each speaker is going to get feedback live from one of the judges. And that is always an invaluable part of the evening.
Yes. Now, before we begin, we have to do something special. And that is taking pictures of the night. Because, you know, us being Speaker Slam online, there's not enough opportunity to have photos. And so I want you to take photos of the night from the judges to the speakers and post them on social media. And if you do, you know, post them on social media, what you will win is a high five and a good job from Dan Shake at the next live event. So if you're looking for,
he will make good on that. That's live.
I got you. So without further ado, wait. Before we go, you know, being a global brand now, the one thing that I know we have to do, because the chant is what unites us all. So if you're at home, I want you to jump along and do this. I know Rena rolls her eyes at me every time I bring this up, but we're doing it. We're going for it. So do it.
When I say speaker, you say slam. Speaker! 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 Hands are thrown down, let's go!
Okay, wow. It loses a little in translation, but in a packed room, believe me, it's all energy. Okay, so we are about to jump in with our first speaker of the night, Mary Pomeroy Brown.
It was just 2 days after my 5th birthday. I remember the day so clearly. I was so excited to be starting kindergarten soon, in 3 more sleeps. And today I was going to be Daddy's little helper. I sat right beside him, handing him all the tools he needed, as he laughed and joked and smiled at me. And then he asked me to go get him a hammer. I didn't know what a hammer was, but I jumped up and I ran into that house full of that 5-year-old rambunctious energy. Mommy, Mommy, Daddy needs a hammer. And just like that, my little life was shattered, and there would be no kindergarten for me. As I ran into the house, I collided with my brother, who was carrying a pot of hot, scalding oil. I felt that oil gushing down over my clothes and oozing into my skin. I could smell that ungodly smell, not knowing it was the smell of my burnt flesh mixed with oil. I could hear those shrieks of agony emanating from somewhere deep within, sounds I never heard before, as if they weren't coming from me. My mom screamed for help as she carefully started to peel the layers of clothing from my body, taking with it burnt and soggy skin with tweezers. The scene was chaotic. The pain was unbearable. I woke up 3 sleeps later in hospital, suffering from 3rd-degree burns to my upper body, in a full body cast after undergoing 3 skin graft surgeries. My 2 little hands were tied to the bed. I cried. I cried for days for my dad, but he didn't come. Several weeks later, he showed up, and I was so happy to see him. He drew pictures all over my cast, making me smile. But as he did so, tears were streaming down his face, and I didn't understand. I didn't know he was carrying the blame and the guilt for this trauma. I didn't know my brother was also at home carrying the same guilt and blame, wishing he had been somewhere else that day. I was now the reason for everyone's pain, including my own. My new skin, it fused with the old skin, leaving scars that would forever remind me of my imperfections. The itchy and the bumpy skin had me hiding from mirrors, putting newspapers up to my bedroom mirrors. I was only 5 years old. Later in life, it had me avoiding change rooms and even swimsuits. I started getting dressed and undressed in the dark, lights off, doors locked, hiding from the world, ashamed. My self-confidence destroyed. I layered up, physically and emotionally, and I secluded myself in my room, masking my pain at times. I was not comfortable in my own skin. Now, there was no epiphany for me. There was no moment in time. But gradually on my journey, I started to realize that healing, it's not a destination. There's no magical place that I would come to and be healed. I understood now that healing is a lifelong journey, and there are no shortcuts. I slowly started to peel back my layers. I even wore a bikini. My brother, my family, my father, well, they also realized over time that being burdened down by guilt and blame serves no purpose other than choosing your scars over yourselves. We were all healing together. We all have scars, internal, external, or both, but at some point we have to choose. On this journey of healing, you must always choose you. You must be good in your own skin. I know I finally am.
Okay, we will now have a minute of feedback from Angela Loria.
Well, hey, Mary, I just want to say thank you so much for being so vulnerable and honest and telling such a beautiful story of healing, but also just a lifelong situation. And I think you really captured that theme of healing really well. The universal lessons, at least for me, were really clear. And bringing your audience into the story, you did such a great job with. I felt like I was in kindergarten with you. I was excited about you being daddy's helper. I could feel that innocence. And then we really felt as that innocence left the room. So I bet in Myers-Briggs, you're an F. You did an amazing job of connecting to the emotion. I thought being good in your own skin was a nice metaphor. I love a little turn of phrase. So that was great. If there's one area I would focus on if you want to develop this, it's that aha moment where you had that turning point of getting comfortable with yourself. And I would have loved to see you develop that a little more time at the end. The buildup was great. And I know there's always time limits here, so it's hard to decide how to use that time. But I really wanted a little more developing the denouement. But overall, Mary, amazing job. It was fantastic. And again, I feel honored that we got to hear such a vulnerable story.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, our next speaker of the night.
I am not enough. I don't do enough. I don't have enough. I am not worthwhile. For years, I have struggled with these beliefs until I realized something. I am a unicorn. A unicorn is someone who learns to embrace their shame in order to shine in their most authentic light. When I was 12, I remember hiding from my bullies in a boys' bathroom stall. He's so gay. He's so weird. Let's beat him up, faggot. I stood there, scared, just wishing I would disappear. For years after, I would hide myself in my studies and my books so that I could escape those feelings that took root in me when I was 12. I'm not enough. I don't do enough. I don't have enough. I am not worthwhile. Amidst my struggle to hide, I did promise myself that when I loved another man, I would come out. And I did. I was 24. I strategically came out to my parents right before they had to go to work. While they were getting in the car, I wouldn't let my mom close the passenger side door, and I said, I have something to tell you. I am gay. My mom said, no, you're not. And my dad said, we'll deal with that later. The next day, an argument was had that ended in these words I will never forget. I want the son I raised back. The feelings that took root in me at 12 were in full bloom at 24. That I am not enough, that I don't do enough, that I don't have enough, that I am not worthwhile. Shame hides in all of us, but when we embrace our shame, we begin to shine. One day, my therapist said to me, Justin, I have these 4 sentences for you that you must apply to yourself every day. They will be your medicine. Let's practice in front of a mirror. I stood there in front of the mirror, face to face, eye to eye with myself for the first time and said, I am enough. I do enough. I have enough. I am worthwhile. The tears began to well up in my eyes and my body began to shake. My right hand was so tight in a fist, so tightly wanting to hold on and so desperately wanting to let go. The power of the tears was so strong that I was knocked to my feet, and then I heard the embrace of my therapist's words. Justin, You were a resilient young boy who learned to withstand and withhold so many emotions. You no longer have to do that. All you have to do is feel. Feeling my shame is the healing. Each morning, with gentle discipline, I embrace my shame and apply my medicine to myself with compassion. I am enough. I do enough. I have enough. I am worthwhile. Each sentence embraces the 12-year-old me and shines light to never hide yourself, even when you want to disappear. Each sentence embraces the 24-year-old me and shines light to love yourself unconditionally, because that is the key to giving and receiving love. When my parents said, "I want the son I raised back," I realized they saw a son living in shame, not the son they raised in love unconditional. A son still seeking love, validation, and acceptance outside of himself. A son seeking an embrace, yet unable to give and receive one from himself. I have spent so many years hiding my story, even finding refuge as an artist and performer, as a vessel to tell others' stories. Today, I am here as the vessel to finally tell my story, to shine light to the unicorn that I am, that in the face of it all, even when shame arises, as it will, with gentle discipline, I will embrace my shame and apply my medicine to myself compassionately. This time, not just in front of a mirror, but in front of you all, to declare and shine in, I am enough. I do enough. I have enough, and I am worthwhile. I stand, a unicorn rising from shame to shine.
We will now have feedback from Eric Edmeades.
Hey, Justin, really, really well done. Lots of great stuff in there. Your passion is absolutely infectious and transmits really well. I'm sure you've had the experience of audiences versus camera, but you managed to transcend that. And that's sometimes a very difficult thing, talking to camera. So I really love the way you did that. Also, there's a genuine vulnerability in the way that you deliver, which is really pleasant and attractive, and it helps convey the message really, really well. What I'd like to see to have you improve it to another level is, and you even said this, is I'm here to tell the story. And there's a fine distinction between relaying the facts of your life and actually telling a story. And very briefly, what I would say is thinking about that one moment, where you planned the coming out, you planned the announcement to your parents. When your dad said that to you, I feel like you could have dropped that on us like a pile of bricks. Right now, it's factual, and anybody who's lived through something like that would feel it. But for people who haven't had that experience, imagine you're like, and I got out of the car and I told my mother this, and the look on her face, and I knew that her look was just as much in anticipation of what she knew my father was about to say. And then he said, I want the son that I raised. And then leave us with that, like you take us, transport us into that moment. And I think the story will be even more powerful. That said, this is just an improvement. to take it to another level. You used great word art. You did phenomenal callbacks. You anchored us several times with the "I'm not enough, I am not enough," and the beautiful transition to "I am enough." And you ended powerfully. And that's always a big thing. Landing a talk is just a really important part of it. A lot of people give a lot of thought to the talk itself and not much to the ending. And I think you landed it really, really well. So I mostly got to say congratulations. Well done.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker, Navi Bliss.
It's the late 90s, and I'm walking down the hallway at school when I notice a poster for night classes. I rush into the guidance counselor's office to let him know that I need to sign up. "Are you sure?" he asks. "You already have more than enough credits to graduate." "Yes, I love learning," I beam. But what my counselor doesn't know is that the thing really driving me is the fear of my mother and the desire to spend as much time away from her as I can. He lets me know the crowd is a bit different at night school. On my first day, as I walk in, I look around and I immediately second guess my decision. These aren't the types of people I'm used to seeing in school. Most are older, and they look like they have a criminal record. When I walk into my room, I see a group of kids who look nerdy like me sitting in the front, and I sigh in relief. I walk over to one of the girls and I ask if I can sit next to her. She looks confused as the room is still half empty, but says yes. Smiling, I sit down and I start talking to her. She's sweet and easy to talk to. I chat with her all through break, avoiding the criminal-looking kids in the hall. Class ends, and in no hurry to get home, I ask her if she wants to get ice cream. She looks at me a little surprised. "Yeah, I would love to." Thus began a weekly routine. There were many late-night ice cream dates and homework reviews. It was fun, and then night school ended and we lost touch. Years later, I'm sitting on my living room floor, lost and paralyzed, a shadow of a person peeking out from behind a mountain of tissue. My marriage has ended. My husband had an affair and a child with someone else while we were still married. I'm wondering how I can even go on living. The world might be a better place if I didn't exist. The pain of rejection burned so bright inside of me. I'd already survived a childhood of torment and abuse at the hands of my mother. Not having her love had left a hole the size of an ocean in my world. Now to be rejected again by someone who had vowed to love me for the rest of his life? How am I supposed to move on from this? The problem clearly has to be me. It seems like no one can love me. I'm standing on the edge of an emotional cliff, ready to let go. It feels too painful. With each passing month, I fall deeper into this pit of despair. The tears keep flowing, lubricating my hands, making my grip on this emotional cliff harder and harder to hold on to. I can feel myself slipping. Ding! Something jars me back to reality. It's a message notification. Grateful for the distraction, I open it right away. As I start to read it, more tears flow, but for a different reason. I'm in shock. This message? Now? Dear Navi, I don't know if you even remember me. I've been wanting to send you this message for a long time. I don't think you realize the impact you had on my life. I was struggling so badly when we met. Things had been really bad at home and life was really hard. I wondered if I even mattered to anyone. I was on the edge of an emotional cliff ready to let go. Until you came along with your smile and your warmth. You offered your friendship and kindness without hesitation. You made me feel like I was seen and mattered, and by doing that, you pulled me back from that edge without even knowing it. Life is good now, and I'm really happy. I married a wonderful man, and I have a baby, and I'm so grateful I didn't go off that cliff, and that is very much because of you and the kindness you showed me. I wanted to write you this letter to say thank you. How could this be coming to me now, when I'm on the edge of that same cliff, questioning if I matter? The letter is from the girl I went to night school with. I remember her, of course, but we were never that close, were we? She was just a night school friend. How could I have had any impact on her life? I barely knew her. I hadn't done anything special. I had just been myself. And then I realized this was the universe answering my question. I mattered. I was enough. Me being me, showing up in small moments of kindness, had been enough to save someone's life. And her showing up in gratitude had been enough to validate my existence and save mine right back. I learned that no kindness is ever wasted. All the love you put out there is making its way back to you when you can see it and when you can't. The small moments are the big moments. Your existence alone has the power to help heal someone in ways you may never even realize. So never underestimate the healing power of the smallest kindness. Your smile, your radiance, your warmth are creating ripples of impact that just may be the thing that changes someone's life.
We will now hear feedback from Stephanie Burns.
Hi, Navi. First of all, great job. You really pulled me in with your story. I found myself kind of moving forward. I even got goosebumps at one point. So great job in telling your story. What I loved about your speech was the full circle moments. So all of the things that happened, it just seemed like a one big continuous loop, which I think is very important for our healing. One of the things that I would say in making your speech a little better is those dovetails and the transitions when you're opening a loop and you're closing a loop, because the story really, again, with these loops, I think that your transitions could be a little bit more powerful. So that's just something that I would work on if I were you. But I loved your story. I loved the payoff at the end. I thought that was really great. And your universal message of healing was spot on. So congratulations. That was wonderful.
Thank you so much. Our fourth speaker of the evening, Tanya Chomik.
When I was a little girl, my mother would always say, Tanya, if you're thinking of having children, think of having at least two, so neither will ever be alone. I had every mother's dream. I had the perfect family. First I had a girl, and then I had a boy. They call that the $1 million family. I had it all. It was 5:30 in the morning, still dark outside, when I whispered to my husband, what an angel, he slept through the night. Little did I know that the real significance of this otherwise common expression would come true. On November 11th, 1998, when our precious boy, Danilo, at the tender age of 6 months, was taken away from us to sing with the angels in heaven. Although he didn't cry out like he normally did when he woke up, I walked into his room to check up on him. As I got closer, I noticed a faint blue shadow on his left cheek. And when my hands reached inside the crib to pick him up, a feeling I will never forget. He was so cold. Frantically, I wrapped him in his blanket to keep him warm, trying so desperately to resuscitate him. But my husband knew he had left us hours ago, crying and screaming, this can't be happening. This isn't true. My baby can't be dead. Oh my God, what did I do? All the commotion that ensued, the police, forensics, Family arriving at the house. I was frozen in time, motionless, rocking my son, trying to keep him warm. Hours had passed, and it was time that I had to give my baby to these complete strangers. I knew it would be the last time I would ever get to hold him. And when I handed Danilo over to them, they not only took him from me, but a part of me left with him forever. Children are not supposed to die before their parents. Then why? He shouldn't have been on his stomach. It's my fault. The monitor wasn't on. How could I have left it off? Not a sound through his room all night. Was he in pain? Did he suffer? More importantly, did he cry? And I missed it. How do I go on after that? Amidst all the pain and longing for my son, I saw light in my daughter's eyes. She became my rock. She became my reason to continue. I gave myself permission to grieve, and over time, I forgave myself. Danilo's death marked my life forever, and even with all the other losses I would later face in my life, my oldest brother, my marriage, my family, nothing would ever compare to the loss of my son. But through all that pain and suffering, I found hope, I found strength, and I found resilience. I learned to accept that bad things happen to good people, and life happens on its own terms, not on ours. But good things happen too, and sometimes they happen together. My daughter's smile and beautiful stories of her brother singing to her at night comforted my broken heart and opened my eyes to what was in front of me. Danilo is with us, and he always will be. We sold our house and moved to a new home. I returned to work and started a new job. I began a master's degree. I had new hopes. I had new dreams. And all along, my angel was with me, watching over me and guiding me. And once again, I experienced the purest joy. I welcomed another son. So you see, when life tosses you challenges, it won't be pretty, it won't be kind, and it will shake you to the core, but it will change you, as it should. And like a butterfly, you will emerge stronger and brighter than before. The dark clouds surrounding loss never really go away, but there is always light and love just waiting to be found. Today, I look back and see how rich my life is. I am proud of who I am and how Danilo has transformed me to not only survive, but to thrive. I have my $1 million family and more. I just need to look up to the sky.
We will now hear feedback from Eric.
Hey, Tanya. First of all, I want to say thank you very much for sharing your story. It's a tough one to share, and it's a story that's needed, and not not simply for the greater message, but because people really do go through tragedy and they really do go through difficult things. And sometimes they need to hear that you can get to the other side. And I think you convey that really nicely. You started with really beautiful energy. You held the space really well. You selected your wardrobe either very intentionally or casually by accident and worked out really well. The transition of butterflies and all that, and beautiful in every possible way. What I would love to see in this is I would like to see a deeper telling of the actual story. And I know that's difficult because if you were to go into the real story, you probably would lose your emotions even more than you did. But if you want an audience to feel something, the best way for them to feel it is for you to feel it. And I'll just say this very briefly. I really connected to your story because after a home birth with my little baby girl in Halifax, Nova Scotia, when she was about 6 hours old, I was holding her in my arms and she stopped breathing in my arms. Lips turned blue. I had to give her mouth to mouth. I had to bring her back. And I'm grateful, of course, that I was able to, and everything was fine. But I know the moment that I lived through, and I know that in that moment, time completely became irrelevant. Everything stopped. And so I can't even imagine the moment you went through. And I think if you actually went there with us, it would even be more and more powerful. That said, I'm only telling you that because I think it's such a powerful message and already delivered well enough that feedback would simply make it even better. I also like that you ended it powerfully, ended it well with a real sense of optimism and real sense of practicality. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, our fifth speaker, the last in the first half, Daniel Burns.
In 1989, at 12:30 p.m. every Saturday afternoon, a TV show came on that absolutely blew my teenage mind. I swear to God, the whole house could have burned down around me, and I would not have even noticed. The camera would pan down to the end of the arena, and all you would see is this long black curtain, and you didn't know who was going to bust through those curtains next. But the crowd was frenzied with anticipation. And when they hit that first note of the theme music, everybody knew what was coming next. And then a young Hulk Hogan would burst onto the scene with all the power of the little Hulkamaniacs. And let me tell you something, brother, I was hooked. I was saying my prayers, I was eating my vitamins, because I knew that my dream was to become a pro wrestler. And every Saturday after that, I pictured myself in the center of the squared circle, holding that championship belt, my theme music playing, and the whole crowd chanting my name, Daniel, Daniel. So when high school came, I joined the wrestling team. But in high school, I was severely overweight and completely out of shape, but that didn't matter because I was chasing my dreams. And the day came when I had my first wrestling tournament. I was so excited. I went right up to the board to check which category I was in. First, I checked the heavyweight category, but my name wasn't there. Then I checked the super heavyweight category, but my name wasn't there. Did you know that there's a category above super heavyweight? They called it the unlimited category. And there was only one name in that category. Me, Daniel Burns, all alone. What did that mean? Well, it meant that I won a gold medal that day by default. And all the kids that did get to wrestle, that won medals, well, they came back to school and they were showing them off. And somebody noticed that I had my gold medal on, and they said, Dan, who did you have to beat today to get that gold? And before I could tell my story, one of my team members jumped in and said, Dan didn't wrestle anyone today. They gave him the gold medal for being the fattest kid in the tournament. And then everybody laughed, except me. My eyes just welled up with tears, and I can tell you, I didn't feel like a champion that day. I felt like a complete embarrassment. In life, we have these little moments, don't we? Little moments that hurt us a lot. I feel like my weight, that's the thing that I've been wrestling with my whole life. And Sometimes it can take a lifetime for these things to heal. That day when all the kids made fun of me, that wasn't a surprise. What was a surprise, though, is what happened next. All that hurt and all that pain, it's like somebody just flipped a switch. And I finally started to fight back. I finally started to get up off the mat, out from all the weight of all that criticism. What's the weight that's holding your dreams down? Did somebody say that you're not good enough? That you're not smart enough? That you're not pretty enough? Get up off the mat and fight back. Do you think you're too old? You think you don't have enough time or enough money? Get up off the mat. Fight back. Fight back against the weight of the world, the weight of your problems, the weight of all those opinions. Fight back because your dreams are unlimited. Your potential is unlimited. You can choose to be the best version of yourself at any moment. You can choose to be a champion. So don't stop fighting for your dreams until your hand gets raised, until your theme song comes on, and until the whole world is chanting your name. Keep fighting, because your gold medal moment, it's coming.
We will now hear feedback from Angela.
Well, Daniel, I think the gods put us together on this one. Like you, I have had a weight loss struggle my whole life. So I really related to this story. In fact, on Amazon Prime, there is a movie about my weight loss struggle called The Weight of Success. And what I love that you did was you really tied in that metaphor of wrestling throughout. We tried to do that in the film that was made about me. So I love that it is easy to go too far with a metaphor like this. And I think you did an especially good job of bringing us back to those wrestling analogies, especially at the end, without being too heavy-handed or just frankly like excluding people who maybe don't know wrestling stories. So great job with that. One of the best jobs I have ever seen of bringing people into the moment. You were clearly there. You brought us there. I was in the arena with you. The buildup and the suspense, especially at the beginning, I think you structured your pacing really nicely. The biggest thing that I would love to see you do differently isn't really that different. It's just, I'm not sure I got to the healing. I was definitely motivated. And I think you've got a future here as an inspirational speaker, a motivational speaker, possibly a preacher, because I was with you. We were preaching at the end. But the transformation was a little more you showing, hey, you should love yourself or you telling us you should love ourselves instead of showing it through storytelling. So Great storytelling on the front end. On the back end, it turned into a little bit of a sermon. And I'd love to see that evened out. Either way, I think you could do a whole sermon. I would come to that church, wrestling church. So great job. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It meant a lot to me to hear.
Thank you so much, Angela. Wow, that completes the first 5 speakers. Now, before we go into the break, all I want to say is 2 years ago, before the pandemic, Speaker Slam was bringing in 200 people monthly to our events. We had speakers taking our stage, speaking their truths, and making a difference. Our speakers were getting viral opportunities, media opportunities, documentaries, and creating their own books. And then the pandemic happened, and we lost our entire business model. In that journey, we worked on ourselves. We bettered the business, and we became a speaker development agency. We created new services and products that really allowed us to sustain ourselves. And now we're bringing back the live event in this post-pandemic world. And the theme that we're coming back with is the comeback. And we are looking for speakers with the comeback stories. Like, we want the stories. And so if you feel called to it, now's the time. I want to just play you the trailer because it's so badass. So watch it. If this theme calls to you, or you know someone who has an amazing story, tell them to apply at speakerslam.org/apply. And tickets are now available for sale. Tickets will sell out. This is our first event back at Lula Lounge, so it's going to be a historic night. With that, we do have booths available. Our judges have donated some gifts for you. So if you want to claim them, head on to the booths, and you can also apply with the link there. I'll see you in 10 minutes. We'll talk soon. Bye.
darkness falls across the land. The midnight hour is close at hand. Creatures crawl in search of blood to terrorize your neighborhood. And whomsoever shall be found without their souls all getting down must stand and face the hounds of hell and rot inside.
Speaker Slam is a one-of-a-kind speaker development agency. For the past 6 years, we've helped mission-driven, heart-centered speakers, authors, coaches, and entrepreneurs create and build a unique personal brand with speaking and video. We run North America's largest inspirational speaking competition and have the privilege of crowning the Inspirational Speaker of the Year annually at our Grand Slam. We offer powerful training programs for both emerging speakers looking to discover their story and message, and momentum speakers looking to elevate their speaking, build their brand, and get paid to shine on stage. We specialize in video marketing, from beautiful legacy videos that capture our speakers' most cherished memories to professional speaker reels that will get you booked. And we create events and conferences that provide a platform for speakers to make an impact with their voice, including our Momentum Conference, taking place this November both virtually and on stage in Toronto, Canada. We have had thousands of speakers on our stages and watched incredible transformations as they went on to build their brand with speaking, landing book deals, press, and documentaries, getting paid to speak, launching movements, and finding themselves on coveted TEDx stages. Every speaker is on their own unique journey, and we are here to meet you where you're at so that you can be seen and heard, leave a legacy, and inspire the world.
Speaker! 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 It's a throwdown, let's go!
Okay, so we are back and we're ready to get into our second half. I just quickly wanted to mention something coming up that's really exciting. So as we have been evolving and developing ourselves, we are really excited that the Academy has now become the Booked and Paid Academy. And Emmy was just in the group talking about getting her first paid speaking gig today. We've had Marjorie and Katie. Ingrid's now making 6 figures as a speaker. And there's no greater joy that we get than seeing our speakers go from great speaker to paid speaker. And so at the end of July, we are doing a 5-day challenge. It is going to be our booked and paid 5-day boot camp. We're really excited because we want to help people that are crossing that line and want to take the next big step. So planting the seed now, more details to come. Okay, so having said that, we are ready to jump right into our second half. And your first speaker is Brian Fuller.
As a child, I was told sticks and stones may break your bones, but words can never hurt you. This saying was put to the test on a warm summer night during 1990-something, as I tried to separate an argument between my cousin and her boyfriend that spilled from her apartment into the field across the street from her building. Just before the dispute could become physical, I jumped between my cousin and her boyfriend and begged her to stop arguing and just come home. As you can imagine, that night was emotionally charged, and I played the role of the annoying little cousin that had stuck my nose into business that did not concern me. With her voice fueled with rage and frustration, my cousin asked, "Brian, why are you even here?" I said, "Because I love you and I don't want to see you get hurt." My cousin yelled, "Brian, I don't effing love you. Just go home." Her words hit me like a sucker punch in the nose. Tears immediately flooded my eyes and I walked away brokenhearted. In that moment, my young mind concluded if my cousin didn't love me, especially after I tried to protect her from physical harm, how could I find the courage to love myself? In the years following, my cousin's words became deeply buried within my heart, creating a chasm of emotional pain that caused me to become disconnected from my family and friends. Although I diligently guarded my heart from incurring further emotional pain, I was still allowing the approval and disapproval I received from my relationships to determine my self-worth. You see, my personal value was being shaped by voices I had no control over. So the words spoken on that warm summer night revealed a painful truth. I was suffering from a self-love deficit. Sticks and stones, they say. I needed to learn how to love myself. So I adopted the mantra, faith it until you make it, which helped me to transform the narrative of my inner voice. I rejected the lies I believed about myself, and I made sure to never again internalize the bad behavior or negative projections by those I was in relational connected to affect my personal value. Most importantly, I steeped my mindset in this powerful universal truth that we all share. All humans are endowed with an inherent value that radiates from the moment of our birth until we breathe our last breath. As I work to apply this universal truth and establish a powerful, positive self-image, I realized that healing and forgiveness go together like peanut butter and jelly. I needed to forgive my cousin, but over the years, I told myself that she didn't remember the argument, or if she did, she probably wouldn't care how her words have affected me. Finally, I concluded, regardless of whether my cousin remembered speaking those pain-filled words that caused my emotional affliction, I needed to move beyond the brokenness that was impacting my ability to heal, and forgiveness seemed like the most likely way to achieve the emotional wholeness that my soul so desperately yearned for. Thankfully, the architect of the universe has this incredible way of knowing the earnest intentions of our hearts while pivoting our pain towards a greater purpose. And that greater purpose was the liberation of a man whose heart was trapped in a traumatic moment from his youth so that he could become emotionally whole and a loving, vulnerable father his daughter so desperately needed him to be. Even though my cousin never requested to be forgiven, I still chose to forgive her anyways. And this decision allowed me to experience a level of healing that has shifted the way I process emotions and my ability to overcome it. Oh, I was no longer a victim. I was finally free. My friends, time does not heal all wounds. Forgiveness does. But when we neglect this part of the healing process, our trauma remains deeply embedded within our hearts, leaving us trapped in the pain of our past while poisoning our present reality. Words may not be sticks or stones, but as we all know, they can cause deep emotional wounds that can afflict us far beyond the healing of any broken bone. So we must choose to forgive, not for the sake of those who have harmed us, but so that we can be free to experience a level of personal growth that transforms our life and shifts the atmosphere of every room we are present in. Sticks and stones, they say, but faith, forgiveness, emotional wholeness, and abundant love, I say.
will now hear feedback from Eric.
Hey, Brian, really well done. You've got really excellent energy, nice cadence. It's easy to listen to you. There's a lot of passion in what's going on, and that's fabulous. I want to offer you a couple things that might take it to another level for you. One is that when we're practicing talks, when you're preparing for them, there's a tendency sometimes to want to write them out, memorize them, read them, like have it perfect. And perfection is the opposite of vulnerability. So there's this bizarre thing where you can take a talk to a level of perfection, but what you then want to do is break that talk a little bit and make it feel a little bit more like you're having a conversation with your friends around the dining room table. And it'll bring a higher level of authenticity into the presentation so that it really feels like you're connected there. And then along with that, I want to offer similar feedback as I've already offered, and that is, I really want you to consider the difference between a high-level story where you're relaying the facts of a circumstance. You're like in a helicopter looking down and look, there's something happening there, there's something happening there, and the helicopter's on the ground. It's like it's happening to me right now, and I'm feeling things, and I'm thinking things, and I'm saying things, and I'm really truly feeling them, because the more intensely you feel them, the more intensely the audience will feel them, and ultimately, an audience is coming to you to learn things and have a change of state. If you change your state, they'll change theirs. And I'm absolutely certain you're going to do that because you've got such excellent energy and projection already. So keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. Okay, our next speaker of the night, Pradeep Charles.
There I was, standing on the ledge, overlooking the cars below me. My feet barely planted on 6 inches of cement on the railing of the overpass. I remember the feeling of the wind coursing through my hair and into my shirt, and I could feel the cold breeze on my body. And for the first time, I had finally felt free. Free from pain of the loss of my mother, the failing school grades, and the weight of life all on my shoulders. And as I tried to balance my body on the ledge, I was simultaneously balancing the conversations in my head. Pradeep, take a step ahead. What are you waiting for? Come on, put all this misery to end. Just jump. But wait, what if I have so much more to do in this world? What if I have so much more to accomplish? What if my family and friends think that I am broken, or they find me broken? But Pradeep, listen, aren't you already broken inside? How did I even end up here? I mean, how could a kid destined for greatness, a straight A student, a student leader, end up on the railing of an overpass about to commit suicide? Well, it's not that hard to figure out when you put 2 and 2 together. See, just a few years back, my mom passed away by taking her own life. And losing my mom was soul crushing, and it brought my entire being down to my knees. And day by day, as I sat in my lecture hall of my university, I would finally begin to feel tired and disinterested. Some days, I would skip class just to roll myself into a ball and shield myself from the outside world. Soon, close enough, my grades began to slip, and I would receive failing grades on all of my papers. I began to criticize myself for the way that I handled my grief, for the way I did not meet the expectations set out by my family, nonetheless myself. It was in that very moment that I created a wound, and I began to feel broken inside. Now, it wasn't until that one special night did my life change forever. I was sitting in my office, and I had received a call from a close family friend. Miraculously, for some reason, I had picked up the call, and because normally I don't, I just let them all go to voicemail. And soon, what I assumed to be a 5-minute hello and goodbye conversation ended up being a 2-hour-long therapy session where I started to sew my cuts and heal my wounds. And what she said to me that night was so powerful, it changed my mindset, my mood, and my life forever. She asked me the same question that I asked myself that night standing on the overpass. Pradeep, do you feel broken inside? And I replied, yes, I am broken. Do you not see that? Like, I'm broken inside. And she said, darling, slow down, wait. You are not broken. And if you think you are broken, I need you to put those parts back together. Because if a vase was broken and we did the exact same thing, listen, it would still be a vase. It still has value. And I want you to realize that. You are not broken, my darling. And as a person who sees the most in you, I want to see what you see in yourself. And what I see is a person who is broken but is still healing. A person who has cracks and dents and is embracing them because it has made them stronger. And that's exactly what I did. From that night, I began my healing journey. My journey to slowly suture my wounds by diving into podcasts and self-help books, to learning to ask for help from other people. But most importantly, learning to love myself again. So I want to tell you something that's so important, and that is the journey to healing may not be an easy one. I'm telling you, nor is it going to be quick, but it is possible. So if you feel like a broken vase like I did, let me tell you right now, you are not broken. That the scars from your past, the cuts from your experiences, and the wounds from your mind and your heart do not make you damaged. Let me repeat that again. The scars from your heart and the wounds do not make you damaged. Remember, a cut doesn't heal in a day. So don't put the pressure on yourself to heal too quickly too. Thank you.
We will now get feedback from Stephanie.
Hi there. Thank you so much for sharing your story. That was really, really a powerful story, and I'm very sorry for your loss. I really enjoyed your use of body language. So when you opened up and you had your arms out and you were looking down, I could really feel, I felt like I was there with you, like watching you on the overpass, and you're taking deep breaths, and I just got goosebumps now. So thank you for taking us through that physically. I really did feel like I was with you. You were using really great descriptive words all throughout. I liked how you said you would roll yourself in your blankets in bed and really feel like you lost your energy. So thank you for that too. I really felt the emotional journey with you. It was a really great speech. I don't have a whole lot of feedback for you, except to say that the one thing that I think could make it a little bit more powerful, or maybe a lot of bit more powerful, is there was a moment where when your friend was on the phone with you, that she was telling you that you were like a vase, right? And to put the pieces back together, and that you'll still be a vase. There's a moment where I really, really wondered what made you believe her. So if you could dive deeper into what that was, I just think that that would make the story more powerful. Because when we go through those times when things are so hard, there's a moment, just a tiny moment, right, where everything changes. And so I would love to know what that was at that moment when she said those things to you. Why at that moment did you believe her? And then take us through your journey into healing. So great job. I really enjoyed your speech.
Okay. Okay, so that was amazing. Thank you so much. I'm just getting message from Dan that he's having a little technical difficulty. So we're just going to take a 2-minute break and then we'll be back with our next speaker. Actually, I can do that now that I realize it. Let me just see here. Sorry. Our next speaker is, I hope you're ready to rock it, Donald. And wait till I'm off the screen, okay? Donald Carr.
Some remember the pain of the past in black and white. Others choose to forget. They are lucky, maybe. But it's very different when memories are real. You remember everything in living color, black and white and red all over. When I was just a young boy, my son winter in Canada, I went to a doctor on College Street. I had an ache in my lower back. He cupped my bowels in his large hands. He asked me to cough a number of times. Whoa, you are a BBC. I was confused. No, sir, I am not the British Broadcasting Channel. He diagnosed a prostate checkup. He proceeded to masturbate me. I asked him why he was doing what he was doing. Doc said he needed to collect fluids. Don't worry, you're in good hands. I was tongue-tied, but I swallowed my fear. He slowly unrolled my foreskin. It came off as slowly as a banana. The doctor's cold fingers invaded my body. I was embarrassed by my erection. He perspired a lot. Something is not quite right here. I just cannot put a finger on it. I'd like to think I'm right, but I don't have enough proof. I am not a doctor. I am not sure. I remember this unforgettable feeling. This must be how a woman feels when a male doctor's cold fingers are invading her body, guilty and ashamed, responsible for his desires. Could run but could not hide. I watched wide awake. I was left with shattered pride. I wish the floor would open wide and swallow me inside. I closed my eyes and disappeared. The doctor filled his test tube with my semen. The doctor exclaimed, "My cup, run it over." I opened my eyes. The doctor inquired, "Did you enjoy that? Ask the receptionist to book your prostate exam for next week." Years later, I read in the newspaper, Dr. X was arrested. He was found guilty of, no need to guess. He had a fetish for BBC, big black cocks, and I was just a boy giving it all away. Life was not a problem to be solved. It was now a reality. If I'd been honest, it might have been a nightmare. Many were the consequences I had to face for not accepting responsibility for things too difficult to forget or to remember. Forgetting forbidden fruits create many jams. The most grievous of all is that toxic homophobia in the black communities. Black queers are erased in black spaces. Violence is the only place where blacks and whites are equal. I was scared I might die without becoming the man I want to be. The process of becoming whole was a healing journey. During the COVID, I stayed home and organized my file. I came across a newspaper article concerning Dr. X. The writer labeled him a fruit with a picture of a red apple to illustrate, and a sexual deviant because he only desired black fruits. The mind forgets, the body never. I remember the day my innocence died, how my betrayer smiled into my eyes as he lied. In my solitude, in my dreams, in sleep, I cried. Oh, the shame, the pain still cling. Truth, like sunshine, is the best disinfectant. Rub it in a wound, it will hurt. But the wound that can be named can be healed. Life sometimes hides in the place that hurts most. And what you can't name hurts you. What you can't say owns you. I took a red marker and wrote in the newspaper, "Dr. X, I forgive you. I done all, accept myself." I set the paper on fire and watched. Traumas like smoke from a cigarette, despair like steam from a coffee pot, great dark lakes of male rage, everything gone, gone, gone. Letting go of the past meant believing in the future. I transformed my rage into act of courage. I decided to treat myself like I was valuable. It's okay to to believe in your damn self. If you don't, who will? I am midway along the journey of life. Day and night, I wonder if I'm going to get it right. I don't have time to lose. I barely have time to shed a tear. My body says, take time to breathe. The mind says, allow yourself to grow. The spirit says, fill your heart with love. The heart says, love as if your life depends on it. It does. Tonight, an intelligent black man declared my authentic self as a bisexual male. Told I shouldn't, I couldn't, I wouldn't. I said I would, I could, I did. Can I get an amen? So let it be. I'll gamble everything to become what I don't know yet I should become. A beacon in the dark.
We'll now have feedback from Angela.
Wow. That was a master class, Donald. Amazing. You are a beacon. You ended your speech with that, and that is true. You got an amen from me. I am here to give you feedback, but I actually want to talk to everyone about something you did in there that all of us who speak can really learn from. In almost all of these speeches, there's a moment where people are talking about forgiveness. And obviously, forgiveness is a huge part of healing. And so, what most speakers do is they will say, you should forgive people, or forgiveness is powerful. What you did here, Donald, is you said, I sat down and wrote a letter. Dr. X, I forgive you. This is so much more powerful than telling people I forgave Dr. X or telling people you should forgive someone. You pulled me in from the first bite of that apple. I know you didn't bite it. I was waiting for it. You amazing use of props, amazing stage presence. I couldn't not listen to you if I tried. This is what storytelling and changing people's lives with stories is about. You are a beacon of showing and storytelling, so honest, so real. And that I actually took so many notes on this. There were so many great quotes, but the line, I was scared I might die without becoming the man I wanted to be, game changer. Wow. I hope there is much more to come. I will be following you, Donald.
Great feedback. Thank you so much. Okay, we're moving on to our 9th speaker, Candace Burkhart.
I was 10 years old and I was competing at the Jean Norman skating competition. I was wearing my favorite purple skating dress that Miss Daisy bought for me. I was raised by my grandma and most of my dresses needed to be sewn. This one is my own. It was unique. As I was getting ready for my turn to go on ice, I could feel the other kids snickering behind me. There she was, Miss Daisy, gray hair and all. She was standing beside me. She was picking up my dress, my tights. She was making sure my panties weren't showing. I would move. She's like, "You get docked for these things." I was so embarrassed because I was the only kid that had their grandma helping them. Everyone else had their mom. When I was 2 years old, my mom left us. She left me. I don't remember that moment, but I do remember a lifetime of feeling abandoned and rejected. Her court-ordered visits began 4 years later, and those years were even worse. They were filled with physical and emotional abuse and the sexual abuse at the hands of her boyfriend. He started out as my protector against all my mother's abuse. And when he became my predator, that was more than any 7-year-old should ever have to bear. Miss Daisy was my rock. She taught me to never give up. She made every moment special. And I can remember at one of my birthday parties, she was playing the spoon race and racing with me. And you know where you have to do the run with the egg? Yeah. Miss Daisy was an integral part of my life. Back in 2005, after my divorce, my son and I had just moved into our first apartment together, and we received a dragonfly wind chime from Miss Daisy. We decided to hang it in our living room. That dragonfly wind chime was the start of our new life. In her later years, she had medical problems, but that didn't stop her from coming over to my place on her scooter every afternoon to have coffee with me in my backyard. And just like that, on January 7th, 2017 at 5:05 a.m., I lost the one person who held me up my entire life. Hearing the phone call about Miss Daisy's death brought me to my knees. How would I live without her? How would I even tell my son? My grandmother's death cracked me open. She held all the secrets to my childhood, and her death meant that I was absolutely on my own, and I may never truly understand what happened to me. Over the next few months, I would hit rock bottom. It was as though all the pain from my childhood would come flooding over me without the protective barrier of Miss Daisy. And as a result, I was diagnosed with depression after telling my boss off. And not the sad crying depression, no, the angry, hate everybody, fuck life depression. And I was immediately put on antidepressants. I didn't want to be on medication for the rest of my life, so I started a healing journey. I started with energy healing and ENLP with Avalon. It has allowed me to uncover my past at just the right time when my unconscious is ready to reveal it to me, just like Miss Daisy, in a peaceful, loving way. Back in the spring of 2018, I began to see dragonflies everywhere, especially in my backyard. I discovered that dragonflies are angels that have come down from heaven to visit. They symbolize transformation and self-realization. And in that moment, I knew that even in her death, Miss Daisy was there supporting and acknowledging my recovery and my growth. What I've learned is that we need to trust the signs around us. We need to take action. And the more action that we take to heal, the more things that are going to open up for us. Trust in that. Know that you are loved and supported. You don't need a huge support system. You just need a couple of true cheerleaders who won't leave your side no matter what. Today, I'm grateful to be honoring my cheerleader, the woman who took me in when I was abandoned, who loved me when I felt unloved, and who supports me and stands by my self-healing and love. Thank you.
We'll now hear feedback from Stephanie.
Hey, Candace, great job. I really enjoyed hearing your story, and it really sounds like you've been through a lot. I feel that the only advice that I could give you is you talked about kind of this gentle and gentle way of healing, just like Miss Daisy. And so your speech felt, I felt that gentle energy from you. And then there was a moment where I wrote it right here, this fuck life moment, and you kind of screamed it. And I was like, woo, kind of like, it was like cold water just splashed on my face. And so I really enjoyed that moment because it kind of came out of nowhere. So your life really had a lot of ups and downs in it, through your losses and your gains, and the really amazing times and the really sad times. So I would love to see that reflected in your pace and in your tone and in your your volume, even in your hand gestures, because it really felt like there's some really beautiful, tender moments in your story. And then there really felt like there could be some really, really passionate ones. So that's the only feedback that I could give you. I really enjoyed your story. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Thank you so much. And we are down to our last speaker of the night, Åsa Reidhard.
At one point of my career, I was a pastor, the leader of a congregation. Being a woman, I was admired for my courage as a leader. I felt at home on my farm in a little village, and I loved living on the countryside with my family, growing our own food, feeding the horses before heading off to work. It was a perfect life. And I needed it to be perfect because I wanted to be a perfect leader, a role model. Then everything changed. Due to a painful divorce, I had to move out of my home, away from the village. My children wanted to stay on the farm. Friends and families disappeared. And I was left more and more isolated. At work, I overheard someone saying, if you can't keep an orderly household, how can you be fit to lead a congregation? Those words, they put me in the darkest of places where I was a total failure, not fit to lead anyone anymore. I had to fight so hard to swallow my tears. I was constantly on my guard. I was ashamed. And I had that crazy idea that if I didn't open up to anyone, no one would know, and I could continue being that perfect leader that I believed people wanted. But of course, people knew. Rumors. And my silence made them suspicious. Some believed I was the blame for the failure of my marriage. Others saw me as a fraud, a liar. I was forced to leave my position. I felt so unwanted and lonely. Standing at midnight on my balcony on the 10th floor, a big black hole of emptiness overwhelmed me, and I was so tempted to take that step into nothingness. But I couldn't find the courage, even for that. Instead, I ate myself through 23 pints of Ben & Jerry's before, luckily, new friends showed up. Friends that wanted to be there for me. They were not at all perfect. They had scars. They had struggles of their own. But they understood. They knew how hard a divorce can be. What it was like to lose your job. Actually, they were just one step ahead of me, but following their lead, I could move forward step by step. Things got better and better. A new kind of life started to be possible. I could see it, touch it. At that point, one of my friends turned to me and said, You got an unusual opportunity to reinvent your life. But do you have the courage? That made me think about myself, about leaders in general and their situation, how hard one work, how lonely you often are. And I didn't want that anymore. In my new life, I wanted to be there for other leaders, like my friends had been there for me, and help them move forward and make a difference. Today, I work as an executive trainer and a speaker, and I constantly meet so many talented leaders and experts carrying scars that they are ashamed of. And I'm so happy that I can use my experiences to help them understand that they are good enough. There is no use to beating yourself up saying, I'm not good enough, I have nothing to offer, I can't lead anyone. Because that's simply not true. Because people like you and me, we don't want perfect. We just want someone to help us move forward step by step. And that someone could be you. You just need to be one step ahead and find your courage to take the lead and show up for your people in need.
We'll now get feedback from Eric.
Hey, also, well done. It actually brought back lots of memories for me. My very, very first speaking academy some 10 years ago was actually in Sweden, and I'm not kidding you. There was an OSA in the class. So lots of memories for me there. You're clearly rehearsed. You're a professional, you know what you're doing, and you're presenting really, really well. And that's a style that can take you very, very far. I want to offer you the possibility to take that style even further. And it comes even from inside your own presentation when you talk about you don't have to be perfect. And one of the best ways, I remember seeing a guy do a talk one day, and he was talking all about authenticity. And then he came to the end of his presentation, he was talking about how, you don't have to be perfect and it should all be about authenticity. And then he put this incredible quote up as his final slide. It's a beautiful quote. And then he turned and faced the audience and he read it. He didn't read it, I'm sorry. He recited it from memory, and it was long. And it was a little ego thing of, look, I've memorized this thing. And I said to him, what's weird is you just said you don't have to be perfect, and it's all about authenticity and vulnerability. And I wonder if reading it might not have created a more, a human approach to that. And so what I want to say is you're at a place right now where it's really finely polished, and the cadence, and you can hold attention for a certain amount of time like that. But now there's another level where I think you could really make it more conversational and make it, in a very sense, less perfect. And here's the great thing is that you're right, nothing has to be perfect. And as a result of that, everything is perfect. And therefore you can truly just be yourself and not need to hold a poise and not need to have all the cadence be perfect. Be more like the way people are after they've had a glass or two of wine, more chilled and more relaxed and more conversational. I think you'll grab even more engagement that way. And I'm only offering that to you because you've really laid the foundation to build something fantastic on there. It's clear that you're good at this and you've done it for a long time. So keep doing it.
Thank you so much to all of the judges. And there we have it. The top 10 have all delivered their speeches. You like that suspense music? Now we're about to head into the winning ceremony. And we're excited. We need to do the scoring as it happens live with the judges. So we're going to take 5 minutes to make sure the scores are in and the top 3 are locked in. While we wait, I recommend you check out the booth because our next online competition is on the theme of impact, and that is happening in September. So we have 2 competitions happening. One is in August for the comeback, and in September, impact. These are your last opportunities to get into the Grand Slam and compete for the title of Inspirational Speaker of the Year. So see you in 5 minutes. Welcome back. We are getting ready for the final moments. Are you ready? Are you excited, Rena?
I love the suspense. Yeah, it's exciting.
The top three are going to move forward to the Grand Slam in November. What's happening in November, Rena?
Yes, let's talk about our Momentum Conference. So, many of our speakers, they love TEDx, and it's such a monumental thing. Like every year there's a TEDx, and we decided we wanted to have that incredible yearly conference that speakers were vying for. So we have created our Momentum Conference, which is starting this November. We are going to have one day virtual on the 11th. We are going to have one day on stage in Toronto, November 12th. The highlight is going to be the Grand Slam on the Saturday evening. It's going to be beautiful. We want to bring our community together, and it's heart-centered speakers, authors, coaches, entrepreneurs. We are going to have paid speaking opportunities for speakers. We're going to create what we ourselves love so much. Those events where you go and there's networking and there's connection, there's activities, there's speakers, there's inspiration, there's competition. And we're incredibly excited. And what we're most excited about tonight is that the top three people here are moving on to the Grand Slam and are going to be on stage in Toronto, Saturday, November 12th.
That is exciting. And, as we become more and more international, we're going to have speakers flying in. So this is going to create a lot of new and interesting energy. And I'm just excited for all of it. Now, let's hear from the judges how they felt about the night. So I'm just going to put you in. Eric, Angela, and Stephanie. How's it going? What did you think of the night? Eric.
Well, guys, I think it's fantastic. I am always able to beam right back to the days where if you invited me on a Monday to do a talk on a Friday, I would absolutely say no. And then I would be unable to hold food down until your Friday event was gone, even though I had said no. And so when I see people putting themselves out like this and entering competitions and being willing to face public feedback and all that kind of stuff, I am just inspired. As I said in the opening, I really do believe that in today's world, if you can tap into really effective storytelling, which is a deep human evolved response, if you can tap that in and then intersection that with today's world of technology, you really are one talk away from adding a zero to your speaking fees, the best-selling book, the TV deal, the movie deal, all that stuff. And I think every single person here took a powerful step forward to be able to develop and deliver that talk.
Amazing. I love that. Angela.
I was just blown away. There are at least 10 books here, but I think there might be even more. I'm very excited to talk more to hopefully many of these speakers. Storytelling off the charts, inspiration through the roof. And I have to say, I really got a page full of notes for myself. I learned a lot tonight. Some of it was from my fellow judge, Eric, who I think did such an amazing job of modeling just incredible feedback. So I learned a lot from you tonight, Eric, and from so many of the speakers. Always honored to be a part of this incredible night.
You all delivered such great value, and I know our audience was just all ears. Stephanie.
Thanks so much for having me tonight. It really was an honor to listen to everyone's stories. Everyone was very vulnerable, and I just felt really touched to listen to everybody's fascinating stories. And it just goes to show we're all fascinating. Everybody's fascinating. Everybody has an epic, incredible story. And so I really think that it's brave when we can stand on stage and tell it. So congratulations to everyone. Thank you for letting me be a part of it and to witness your incredible stories. So well done, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. And for the audience at home, our judges did leave some gifts in the booth. You can get the insights into the media room from Stephanie. You can get the incubated author, the 10 steps to start a movement with your message. Again, the link will be in the booth. And Eric's, you can join his Speaker Nation and practice your speaking in his club every Friday. So again, these are great opportunities for you to get to know our judges and, you know, give them the opportunity and shine that they deserve to work with you. So again, check the link in the boots. All right, let's get to it, Rena.
Okay. Okay, so this is exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, before we do that, I just want to thank the judges so much. My God, we are so blessed to have this like powerhouse lineup, and I know like our speakers watching at home have learned so much. So grateful. Thank you so much. Okay, now we're going to celebrate the winners, Dan. We're ready. We're going to go into our.
All right. Let's first find out what the third place winner is going to get.
So the third place winner is going to get a personal 20-minute consultation with Dr. Angela and a place in our Grand Slam. Oh, and a free seat to the online event Tell to Sell with Eric Edmeades.
All right, everybody, let's brace ourselves because we're about to do this. And
let's make some noise together. In third place is
Tanya Tomic.
Tanya! Congratulations! You've done it! You're going to the Grand Slam! All right.
That's exciting, Dan. I like the little music. Like you're making it come alive even online. I like that.
I'm making moves here. The show will get better and better. All right. Let's keep moving it along. What will the second place person get?
A free seat to One Talk workshop with Eric and a personal 20-minute consult with Dr. Angela Loria. And of course, also a spot in our Grand Slam this November.
All right, everybody, let's do this. Who's going to be second place? Oh, I made a mistake. Ignore that. Ignore that.
All right, let's make some noise for second place. The winner for second place is
Daniel Burns.
Daniel, he's done it again. He's going back to the Grand Slam. Woo! Yeah, baby. Congrats, Daniel.
Okay, it's exciting.
Nice. That is exciting. All right. This is it. This is the winner of the healing competition. Woo, they're gonna have a fun time. All right. What are they gonna be getting?
A visibility strategy session with Stephanie Burns. All access pass to his events, Tell to Sell, One Talk Workshop, Limiting Beliefs Challenge with Eric Edmeades. A book launch pop-up program with Dr. Angela Loria. Great start for someone who wants to get a book out there. And our signature legacy video where we're going to take your speech and make a mini masterpiece with music, pictures. It's going to be a huge hit. And of course, you are moving on to the Grand Slam in November.
All right, everybody, make some noise at home because we're about to find out the first place winner.
All right, let's make some big noise. The first place winner is
Justin Senenze!
Justin! That's right, boy! Yeah! Yeah! You're the winner!
Woo!
Yeah! Wow! You did it! Yeah, buddy! We want to hear what you have to say. A little winning speech. It's all you.
Oh my gosh. First off, I want to thank everyone, and just what an amazing transformative night for me to be in this wonderful, wonderful group of humans with such big hearts and such amazing stories. I have to thank my friend Pat Labez, because months ago before Catalyst happened, she called me and she had told me about Speaker Slam, and honestly, I didn't believe her. I didn't believe that, I guess, like my speech said, that I was not enough. But there was something inside of me. I was actually reading Brené's Brown. I thought it was just me about shame. And I got Rena's email about healing. And just something inside of me said, write this speech. And I was writing it on a plane to LA. And it just came out, and it just felt like this was the time. And honestly, this has been a wonderful part of my journey to actually stand in front of everyone and just say my story, because I really have tried to hide it, honestly, through my acting and through performing, to try to perform other people's stories. So to be honored this way, telling my story for the first time, is incredible. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
I love that.
Wow, what a night. Another night of transformation.
I love the genuine surprise on his face. That was so amazing. I love to see people when the seed is planted and like he's new to the community and now it's like bubbling under there that he's going to be like a superstar. So it's amazing. Okay.
I just love the momentum.
We
did it. And we finished right on the schedule agenda. So, you know, as we wrap up the night, again, thank you so much to the judges, to all of the speakers that participated, every single one of you that were a part of the healing competition. Thank you. Thank you for being a part of this journey. And I know there is something meaningful about each and every one of you that you've accomplished. So know you've inspired somebody out there.
Yes.
With that, you are seen, you are heard, and you are loved. Good night.